Today I'll be demonstrating how to replace batteries in a GE Interlogix motion detector. These motion detectors have batteries that typically last about 2 to 4 years, and your main panel will tell you when they're low. I recommend before you start to work on these, call the central station and have them put your system on test for approximately an hour so that they won't dispatch on anything that you might accidentally trip. To take these off the wall, there may be a small little Phillips screw in this hole right here. I don't install them with those. I find it too hard for people to take apart, and it's unnecessary. These lock on the walls really well. But if you have a screw, you have to remove that screw. Then you press down on this tab here, and it will release the catch. And then you just lift it off 2 pins on the bottom. So there's these 2 pins here and here, and they slide into the slots on the bottom here and here. That's the easy part. Once you have it off, you have to be careful not to lose this tamper spring. I actually had somebody lose one of these in a dark shag carpet one time, and I spent 5 minutes dragging a magnet over the carpet just to find the spring. If you lose this spring, it does need to be replaced, because if that spring's not holding that tamper switch in like that, the system will always say that it's open or being tampered with until that spring is back on and it's mounted on the wall. If you lose the spring though, this spring is the same diameter as most springs in click pens. So if you take a spring out of a click pen, cut it to about 3/8 of an inch in length, stick it on this pin down here, that ought to take care of it for you. It does have directions on the back as to how to open the cover. It's not as easy as that says it is. There are 2 tabs at the top and 1 at the bottom. And what happens is the cover has a pin sticking down here and here on the top. It also has a pin sticking up on the bottom. And they slide into these 3 tabs. You have to release those tabs, and there's a couple ways to do that. I do it by pressing down on these 2 tabs on the top, and then I hold onto the sides with these 2 fingers, and with my index finger I push the top back right there. Now I'll release it so you can see there's a little groove in here, a little space that's been released out of those 2 pins. If you wedge your finger down inside there and lift up on the bottom one, you'll be able to take it apart. I make it look really easy. I've handed this to people who have messed with it for 15 minutes and not gotten it apart. That's why I'm making this video. So take your time. Don't try to force it. Some people get white knuckles pushing down on these tabs so hard. You really don't have to push them hard. You just have to push them down flush like that. It doesn't take a lot of effort to do that. Another way to do it is to use 3 fingers. Use these 2 fingers on the top and your middle finger there. Hold all 3 of them down while you grab the cover and pull the top away. Some people find that a little bit easier. You have a better grip that way. Either way, you do want to wedge your finger down in the top, because what will happen is you'll start working on the bottom and the top will pop back in. So I have my finger wedged in the top so it can't pop back in. Grab the bottom tab, release it, and pull it apart. Then you have 2 AA alkaline batteries, and the easiest way to get these out is with a small flat tip screwdriver. So I just grab it on the top, and same thing on the other side. You can take those batteries out. One end has this little tab right here. You do not want to pull that out. You do not want to move it. It's set by the technician when it's installed, and it sets the sensitivity. These are PET immune motions, and basically there's 3 pins in there, and that little jumper will jumper between these bottom 2 pins, and that's a standard sensitivity, and that's what's used for PET immune settings. If you need a higher sensitivity, it's set on these top 2 pins. Most places do not require the higher sensitivity, and it will not work with pets if you set it in that. So try not to touch that at all. Grab your new batteries, put them in. And if you forgot how you took out the old ones, there's a plus symbol right there with an arrow shooting up. And at the other end, plus symbols on the bottom with the arrow shooting down. Put the negative ends in first, snap it into place. Same thing on the other end. Now the cover has a lens in it, and if you squeezed in too hard, you'll remove the lens. There's 2 notches on the bottom and 2 on the top. The bigger notches go on the bottom over these 2 pins, and the smaller notches go over these ribs here. And it's pretty obvious by the bend, but the ridges are on the inside. So just slide it into place, and it'll snap into place underneath a little ledge here and here. Then you line up this little cutout with this cutout here and slide it back into place until all of them snap in. Make sure your tamper spring's still on. Hook in the bottom 2 pins and snap the top closed. And if you are using a screw to seal it, you can put the screw in right there. Also, you may have the light going on like that. That is a walk test mode. If you release the cover, the spring will come loose and it'll put it into walk test for 60 seconds. So every time you move in front of it, it's going to light up. If you see that light all the time, that's a problem. It's going to drain the batteries. The only motions where you'll see that light flash every time you move is a hardwired motion wired back to the panel. But these, since they are battery operated, if they flashed every time you walked in front of them, the battery would go dead pretty quick. Also, they have a 3 to 4 minute lockout timer. I recommend waiting for 4 minutes and timing it with your watch. But after you've replaced this and you've set it on the wall, move out of its view completely for 4 minutes, and then you could set your system into walk test and then walk in front of it, and it should give you some beeps telling you that the motion is working. If you walk in front of your motion sensor, set your system into test, and walk in front of it again, nothing will happen. What happens is the motion sensor transmits one time when you walk in front of it, whether the system's armed or not. It doesn't know, it's just a transmitter. Then it goes to sleep for 4 minutes. So basically, to save on battery life, it's not transmitting every little movement that you make. It only transmits when you walk in front of it, and then a not again for another 4 minutes. After 4 minutes, it's reset. If you walk in front of it again, it'll trip again. But that'll also set the timer for another 4 minutes before it'll trip again. Basically, it saves on battery life. And there you go. How to replace batteries in a GE Interlogix motion detector. Thanks for watching.